As the Emperor's spies told him, Ciri had reached Novigrad. A lone attempt to find her in the North's largest city would certainly fail. But Geralt had friends he could count on. The Witcher decided to contact Triss Merigold.
I think I'm in love. What am I to do now? I think I'm in love. What am I to do now? I think I'm in love. What am I to do now? I think I'm in love.
Let us live, eh?
Oof. I've worked up quite the appetite.
Don't know who you're looking for, but you won't find him here.
Did you see those poor wretches who fled Velen? Wars. Wars everywhere.
Let us live, eh?
Oof. I've worked up quite the appetite.
Ooh! They say the income tax for trading companies is to rise, just like that.
You're late to the bats are snapping the muck you're
Cursed
working,
mage
mate.
hunters. Thought things couldn't get any worse.
For a riff. It never rains, does it? It pours.
La 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 la.
The Wild Hunt. From farmers and herdsmen, milkmaids to midwives, all the common folk of the continent whisper, sharing tales of a wraithly procession pounding across the sky. The Wild Hunt, they call it. Winds and gales, storms and blizzards arise when it is sighted, and all grows cold, though the sun shone bright moments before. Some remember only the cold from the shock of the encounter, and the claim the riders come always in winter. But nay, this is not so. The hunt brings its own ice. Death and war gallop in its wake, or so that superstition goes, yet evil enough is the hunt itself. It takes folk captive, youths, most often, in the prime of their wilding years, with 10 to 20 summers behind them. The hunt rushes in and they disappear, only to return long years later with no memory of what passed in the time between.
My evening with the vampire. You will no doubt call me a liar, a cheat and a madman. You will shake your head in pity and snort in disbelief, but I promise you, I swear by all the gods, everything which you shall read in the pages to follow is the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I met the vampire of which I write years ago, in an inn in Beauclair. He introduced himself to me as Regis and said he was a barber and a medic. Since he looked in every aspect like a mortal man, I might never have even suspected his true nature, had not a fire broken out shortly thereafter in the establishment in which we were residing. This Regis, if that truly was his name, stood completely untouched by the flames, whereas my own clothing quickly caught fire. The vampire carried me out of the burning inn, saving my life from certain death, then treated my numerous wounds. At first Regis refused to answer my query as to how he had miraculously survived the furnace-like temperatures inside the burning inn without so much as a scratch on his body or a hair singed on his head. Eventually, however, he must have sensed I was a man of the world, one who would not jump to hasty judgments based on appearance or species, and revealed his identity, along with a great number of highly interesting facts. According to Regis, not all vampires are alike. This vast family contains both mindless catechins, floaters and Ekimmaras, who in form resemble overgrown bats far more than humans, as well as Alps and Bruxae, who look remarkably like comely maids. In addition to these, there are the even more powerful higher vampires, to which genus belonged my unexpected acquaintance. Not even a witcher can discern a higher vampire from a mortal man. Contrary to popular belief, they cannot be killed by pounding aspen stakes into their chests nor by cutting off their heads, nor, as I can vouch for based on personal experience, by fire. They do not fear running water, garlic, or the symbols of any creed. It might be some consolation to learn of vampires, but it does not turn a human into one of their number, and they do not in any way need our blood in order to survive. To them, it is merely a delicacy in which they indulge from time to time, like men do with fine wine. Regis asked me to keep his tale to myself, but now, as I lay on my deathbed, I feel that I must share this secret knowledge, even if it means breaking my word to this most noble individual.
Pearls of the North, Novigrad. No one can claim to have travelled to the Northern Realms who has not been to Novigrad. I was forced to list what during my many meanderings has made the greatest impression on me. It would be precisely this great, and yet at the same time free, city, a metropolis worthy of the Empire. Its only flaw is that the civilization Nilfgaard carries with her has not yet enlightened it. That is why hordes of reactionary cultists of the Eternal Fire dwell in the midst of its excellent buildings and superb commercial infrastructure. One feels as though superstition is how the local hierarch and his temple guard cement their power over the city dwellers, and many they are to control. For the city counts no less than 30,000 of inhabitants. While strolling through its fabulous port, surrounded by marvels of architecture, it is hard to imagine that centuries ago Novigrad was a mere minor elven town said. When the city fell into the hands of the Nordlings, its problems grew exponentially, for as is well known the people of the North can do a great many things, but peaceful and orderly cohabitation is not one of them, and so Novigrad first belonged to Redania, and then fell under Temerian rule, until finally, after endless compromises and bargains, it at last became a free city. But is the city truly free? I dare to doubt it. Redanian influence makes itself felt too strongly on every street corner, and the fact that the city is located within rado of its territory speaks for itself. While wandering the city's streets I came across 4 watermills, 8 banks and nearly 19 pawn shops. There are also a great many houses of simple pleasures such as taverns and brothels, and Novigrad's commitment to matters of faith is borne witness to by the fact that the city contains no less than, I kid you not, 19 temples to the Eternal Fire. What more can be said? I think Novigrad has all the makings of the capital of the world, and perhaps that is what it will one day become. First, however, someone needs to bring order to within her walls.
Ekimmaras. Bah, ain't nothing to fear. Ekimmaras, why, they ain't nothing more than overgrown bats. Anonymous city guardsman's last words.
Like other vampires, Ekimmaras are not, despite what village gossips might say, indeed humans. They are instead post-conjunction monsters who have no particular feelings about garlic, holy water or religious symbols. Unlike their portrayals in ballads and legends, they look nothing like handsome, pale aristocrats with charming Eastern accents, though, like Cartigans and Nicorats, they do bear a strong resemblance to overgrown bats. They also do not suck blood from the necks of virgins with a delicate, kiss-like bite. They tear them to shreds using long, sharp claws and then slurp the splattered blood off the ground. Ekimmaras are unusually cruel and exceptionally swift. They are able to quickly land blow after blow, capable of smashing even the best Mahakaman made armor into tiny shards. They should be fought with a silver sword, remembering that they can regenerate back health over time. One should thus never attempt to tire them out or, God forbid, wait for them to bleed to death. Instead, cut them down as quickly as possible and, if possible, burn the body to ash and scatter it to the 4 winds.
Higher vampire. Only a mutual thirst for blood links higher vampires to their distant and much more primitive cousins. Ekimmaras, Alps, Catechins, and the like. Higher vampires are, In fact, much more similar to humans than to those bat-like blood slurpers. They not only resemble us in appearance, but also share our intelligence and behavioral patterns. This means they do not squat in distant forests or hide in the shadows. On the contrary, they are particularly fond of cities where they live out deceivingly normal lives. Even witchers are not capable of recognizing them at once, for their medallions remain perfectly motionless in the presence of higher vampires. Yet all these similarities should not blind us to an essential difference. Unlike men, higher vampires are immortal. Those who have faced them in combat and survived can be counted on one hand. It is a witcher's good fortune that higher vampires are extremely rare, and not all are dangerous to humans. Though they do have a taste for blood, they do not need to drink it to survive. Some higher vampires have renounced feeding on humans altogether and do no harm to anyone, but others give in to their desires. A witcher who braves fighting a higher vampire must bear in mind that he faces a monster endowed with incredible strength, one able to manipulate men and animals, turn invisible and transform into a giant bat, and furthermore one which it is nearly impossible to kill. In other words, even an experienced monster slayer should think twice before accepting a contract on one of these creatures, even if half a kingdom and a princess hand is in the offing.
Sun bright and warm.
Can it get any worse?
Any needs, master?
Hey, sod off. We're looting here.
Want you gone by the time I count to 3. 1.
Hear that?
2.
Ooh, looky. Thinks he can scare us off.
3.
I'm in. Bloody hell.
Well, how long you gonna make me wait?
Calm now. We'll split it. Plenty here for everyone.
I'm not a thief. Looking for the sorceress who lived here.
Most likely hiding in some rat trap with the rest of them.
Someone's gotta know more.
I'd look for her in the Putrid Grove.
Putrid Grove. Where is it?
I wouldn't know. Rumour has it, it's a place for freaks and oddities.
You'd fit in well there.
Maybe. Thing is, gotta know how to get there.
They say you've got to get there through the sewers, but you've got to enter them outside of town. Few know where exactly, though.
Ask a beggar. Or spot yourself a thief. Follow him. Beggars and thieves got to pay tribute to the king of beggars. Word is, they do it in the grove.
Mean to say the local beggars have a king? Crown, scepter, and all that?
Wouldn't scoff, mate. King of beggars, it's a moniker. Yeah, for a man who everyone in Novigrad respects deeply.
And watch yourself. Menga himself don't even go to the grove.
Someone call for me. Wonder why. It's Menga.
Temple God.
Thieving vermin to the confession chamber.
What, but sir, what's the offence? This is some sorcerer's bitch's shop.
Think that gives you the right to steal her property?
Well, sorcerers, mages of all types are outlaws.
But by law, the temple guard takes possession of their belongings, and the rule of law still holds in Novigrad. You know a bat can sniff out a moth a mile away.
What's your point?
I ask the questions, Witcher. And as bats sense moths, so I sense freaks. And start by warning them, Novigrad's no place for your kind.
I haven't done anything wrong.
But you will. Sooner or later, your sort always causes trouble. And this city's mine to protect. Mine, and the eternal fires. Nothing I can do to you now, but just know that I know you're here. One misstep, one error, you'll make a mistake, it's inevitable. I'll be the first to learn of it, and when I do, it'll be standard procedure, like for every magic oddity who dares taint this city's air. Be seeing you.
The conjunction of the spheres. Scholars have many vices. Possibly the worst among them is a tendency to describe the simple and unnecessarily complex terms, to just plainly the garb of false learning. The conjunction of the spheres might serve an excellent example of this. This name, so mysterious to a commoner's ear, could be replaced with a much simpler alternative. When the worlds collided, the phenomenon itself can also be explained in terms simple enough for a child to understand. Imagine, dear reader, that our world is a ship sailing on the great sea. From its deck we can see other, distant vessels. Those are the stars. These vessels each bear their own goods and their own crews. They usually pass us at some distance, barely visible specks, even views through a spyglass, once every few thousand years. However, a storm breaks above this cosmic sea, a storm so strong it tosses the ships towards one another, making them sail cheek by jowl. Part of the crew of one ship can, at such times, move to another, and some of the cargo from one ship's hull can spill onto a neighbouring vessel. When the weather calms, the ships separate once again and sail their separate, invariably different ways. The so-called post-conjunction beings, namely monsters such as ghouls and basilisks, are precisely such passengers from another vessel, and we humans are castaways, flung against our will from somewhere far away onto a world previously inhabited by the elder races. Once here, we learned the arcane mysteries of magic. Unbeknownst to us before, could the worlds collide once more? Perhaps. Can this cataclysm be avoided, or the opposite hastened? Some scholars believe there are beings who have mastered this skill, who possess rare genes, allow which some to seize the helm of our vessel and steer us to safer waters, or to our doom.
His Imperial Majesty, Emhyr Emreis. Emhyr Emreis rules to expand. He has trained his strategic brilliance on a singular vision to conquer the world, though he rightly calls this not conquest, but salvation. Yes, the Emperor of Nilfgaard sets the world alight with the torch of civilization. Trampling the still warm corpses of his father's usurpers, the Emperor seized the throne and began to assimilate the northern realms, one after the other. Terror engulfed the north. Only the Battle of Brennan slowed the Imperial armies' march toward victory. A temporary peace then took hold, though none believed this mirage would last. Emhyr's aim, to make the entire north a vassal of Nilfgaard, remained unchanged. Emhyr used peace as a covert to intensify his political efforts. Now all can see their results: chaos and disorder devour the Nordling states. Ridden with internal bickering and backstabbing, they near collapse. Only a strong ruler can grapple this dysfunction into function. Only a wise ruler can give vision to their blindness. Only Emhyr Emreis can save the north. So our armies have again crossed the Yarugal for the third and final time.
Hairbrush. Only ever known Triss to use one like this. Herbs, roots, just turn to healing. Amulets are emanating magic. Gotta be Triss's. She was allergic to potions.
Brother Adalbert's bestiary. Each beast herein described in two manners ye may hunt. Either seek ye tracks, follow and strike the foulness wherever in its wild ye find it, or lure it to a chosen place and engage it there in advantageous battle. The latter poses less risk, for the hunter exposes no chance for an unexpected fight. Note, however, that to lure a beast into a trap, first its tastes and behaviors ye must know. As for forktails, bait them thusly: pound a stake in the soil, bind a goat to it, then hide ye in nardo shrubbery post haste. The beast, lured by the caprine odor, will without fail soon come. If it is a griffin ye seek to slay, take ye buckthorn from deep water. The mighty stench of this herb is to griffins like fresh roasted meat of the primest sort, and so come they will forthwith, though far away they might be. Turning to drowners and water hags, it is known to all and sundry that fish and rotting mollusks are their loves, and as for trolls, common hooch is their weakness.
Witcher signs. As a mule is neither ass nor horse, though it has traits of both, so are Witcher neither mages nor common men. Witchers are able to cast simple spells they call signs, drawing on the basics of telekinesis, ard, pyrokinesis, igni, hypnosis, oxy, and so on. They are not however, capable of utilizing more complex spells. Indeed, they treat real magic with reservian distrust. Widespread in their ranks is an irrational, nigh onto superstitious fear of teleportation. Let me remind you that deadly accidents during translocational travel occur only once per 100 instances of such travel. This aversion surely stems from the fact that witches do not possess inborn magic talents, but instead gain them during their infamous trial of the grasses. It can thus be said that their casting spells is an affront to nature, as is, in fact, everything witches do.
Tris's. Never knew her to drop them on the floor.
Which is not quite the devils you thought. A conviction has arisen amongst both mages and the hoi polloi that witches barely rise a hair's breadth above animals, that they are deformed and bloodthirsty mutants, and that in slaking this thirst they do not limit themselves to the fluids of monsters. Meanwhile, the research and observations of Virgil of Bandard paint an entirely different picture of the cast. Of course, it is an indisputable fact that the mutations witches undergo influence their temperament, immune system, strength and endurance. Yet one cannot consider them unthinking beings forged only for killing as a result. In fact, witches cultivate a unique culture, a specialized body of knowledge, an effective training system and even a code of honor. They know an incredible amount about the effects of ingesting various organic and inorganic substances, and also a small amount, but nevertheless something, about the fundamentals of magic. By which I mean the simple spells they call signs. On the surface the witches appear to be a homogeneous social entity, but in truth their fighting styles, training regimens and worldviews differ significantly depending upon the school to which they adhere. The best known witcher schools on the continent are the School of the Wolf, the School of the Bear, the School of the Griffin, the School of the Viper, and the School of the Cat.
Rose of remembrance, all dried up.
Deepest apologies, Governor. Fetch some metal, you wretch. I've been robbed! Thief! touch me.
Looking wobbly. Need some overripe sheep's feet.
Take pity on me, misery, good folk, and aid a man crippled by misfortune.
Word is, nothing's free in Novigrad.
Oh, another one come bursting with questions. Now, where do you folk gain the idea we beggars know everything? I need to see this and I need to find that one who robbed me brother. Fuck if I know.
There's this place in Novigrad they call the Putrid Grove.
Aye, it's about right. Well, Novigrad's full of nooks and crannies with odd names. Looking to sightsee, buy a bloody map.
Heard men like you frequent this alley.
And I've heard they fed you all shit and you smiled and ate it. Now, don't mean no offence. Go in peace. Arms for the poor. You look familiar.
Run for your
I think you've had enough, mate. Oh!
Looking to make some coin too, eh? Sod off, skiver.
Miserable and hungry.
Waste of breath.
Non-human, are you? Oh. Look for your kind beyond the walls.
So, you in? Want a job? Nah.
My wife won't believe me when I tell her.
More cautious than I thought. Can't get too close.
Good! Pickpocket!
White one. Take a gander over here.
Wanted this Marigold. Our witness testimony has confirmed that Triss Marigold of Marigold, known as the 14th of the Hill, a member of the infamous Lodge of Souls heiresses, is currently residents in a fair city. Anyone in possession of information about a place of hiding, plans or accomplices is obligated by law both divine and human to report to the nearest outpost of the temple guard at once, and whoever helps the witch by giving her food or shelter shall burn alongside her.
A word from the Armorers Guild. The Armorers Guild would like to remind you of the following. No one shall forge nor sell armor nor helmets in Novigrad unless he has first joined our ranks and proven his credentials as a master. Members of the guild must pay 2 out of every 100 crowns earned to the communal fund. Any member who knowingly takes on another member's apprentice shall pay half of his earned profits to the guild. Any member caught selling iron helmets and brass plates claiming they are steel shall be stricken from the guild registry. Any member who brings a weapon to guild meetings shall pay a day's earnings to the communal fund by way of punishment.
Festival of Novigrad Culture Council. It plans to inform you that, in light of recent events, the decision has been made to call for het Festival of Novigrad Culture. Ambassador voor Rotterdam.
Quick coin in a pinch. Need coin, fast. Those blasted non-humans at the Vivaldi Bank say your credit's no good. Come see me. No paperwork required. No questions asked. No limits. Loans available in Hacklandian francs. Handjuker. Annual interest rate 700%.
I've heard of you.